and I want to talk about aftercare, which is something I tripped on. I should say I strategically planned this. I fell into it when I was doing sales presentations. I had 4 sales managers come up to me and talk to me all together after I did a sales presentation for a business. And when I followed up to call the person, and I recommend this follow-up thank you call for bringing me in, for working with you, I said to him, do you think it would make sense? One of my phrases that pays. Do you think it would make sense for me to work with your sales managers to actually apply the ideas, tactics, and tips I talked about in my program? Because if you do, we could make that happen virtually. Now, this was before COVID, and Google was our only thing, not Zoom. Then he said something that just slayed me. He said, what would that look like? I had no idea because I hadn't planned on it. But of course, I didn't say, I don't know because I've never done it before. That's never a good thing to say to somebody. So I said, I'll have some options in an email so you can consider them. The next morning, he got an email with a 30, 60, 90-day follow-up for me to work with the sales managers, each one building. And 10 minutes after I sent it, I got a reply from him saying, I want plan B. And I had priced plan B to be the fee that I charged him to come out to LA and speak. I want you to know that after I read that email and he immediately bought, I had a permanent indentation in my head from doing this. Why haven't I been doing this all along? So services that you can offer to support a speech and take a next step with a client, that is what I want you to consider. And it might be consulting, small group facilitation, small group work, selling a book, going through, having a book club as a follow-up. It can be any number of things, inviting them into a master class. And then I want you to consider the 30, 60, 90. I'm telling you that because I did longer aftercare and it wasn't as effective. It's much tighter with 30, 60, 90 days. We actually see progress in a limited amount of time. I never worked for another private client or corporation without offering aftercare. And I want you to know now, because everything's a negotiation, when you're looking to speak, everything's a negotiation now. If someone wants to undercut your fee, I suggest you look at the different things you could offer in aftercare and add it on to support your fee before you have to discount. So could you do a sales meeting, for example, with sales managers? Could you do a leadership class with just the leaders? There are different things, different strokes for different folks, but I want you to inventory what you may have to offer. If you start doing this, you move from being a speaker to a resource to your client. And I think that's the highest calling. That's when they think of you for everything. That's my $1 million tip, Marty. And I'm only asking a 10% commission on that $1 million tip.
Yes, I understand. And you should have it as well. My goodness, that was about $10 million minutes in one right there. I just have to, I can't bear to go a minute without asking you this question. So you mentioned 30, 60, 90. Is there some kind of strategic way to build that you can articulate in less than a minute?
Yes.
What kind of tip can you give for
Yeah.
assembling that?
You know, for example, I'll share what I did. For example, my first level was weekly meetings with the sales team to implement the ideas that I talked about in the platform. The second was weekly meetings with the sales team plus email response. If they had questions, they could come to me and ask. The third was all of those things plus 1 hour or 2 hour, depending upon how many sales managers they had, consulting, individual consulting added in the package. And I always wanted them to buy plan B, Marty. If they bought plan C, which I really stacked, I just let myself know I could buy a lot of aspirin with the money I was making, even though it was a little bit heavier lifting than I wanted to do. But I always wanted them to go with plan B, not the bare minimum, not the big package, but the middle one. And amazingly, that's how it works. I'll tell you, work with intention. And I say those time frames because if you spread it out too far, she says from experience, sometimes they don't see the dramatic change. In 30, 60, 90 days, they can quantify that change much more easily. And that's what we're going for.
Beautiful. Awesome. Well, if you want to find out more about these strategies, if she could share that much with you in 3 minutes, imagine how much more you would benefit if you were to get her brand new book called Book More Business, Make More Money Speaking. This is the next evolution of her original book that was the Bible of National Speakers Association and so many other professional speaker organizations. Go get the new one. And while you put an order in for one, put an order in for another or two that you can give out to friends of yours that are speakers. So go get that on Amazon today, and you can still have it under your Christmas tree.